So as we're picking back up on our rough stage for our drone, we've got our cylinder in the corner. Don't fret that there aren't 4 cylinders for the other corners. We'll do all that in a little bit. But I'm ready to start editing this cylinder. First off, it's going to be the height, but I want to check my reference to make sure I've got a good idea of how skinny to make that, and this looks pretty skinny, if I would say so. So grab that, go to model mode, and I can use my little orange scale tool. So that, I'm going to say that's going to be a little thicker than what we needed. Alright. So I think this one's good. I'm just going to drag a copy of it down into my little old folder, my junk drawer. I can do that by holding Control as I click and drag, just so that I've got a backup down there. And I can make this one editable. Hit C on it. So to connect these, we're not going to necessarily connect them just yet. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this drone body object, and because my anchor point, my pivot point is still in the center here at 0, 0, this will work out pretty easily if I just hit Alt-G to create a null. So this will be drone main null, and then this will be rotor or something. It's not exactly the right word, but it's going to be close enough for right now. I'm not a drone scientist, so I don't know all the technical terms. So the biggest thing that we've got yet to do is kind of get this slope in skinny kind of tapering that this arm is doing. So I think we should try to tackle that now, because we can't connect the points if they're all the way up here. It's just going to make stuff messy. So these down here in our good old only select visible elements is biting us. So we're going to turn it on and just select the bottom here. So we're going to select that one there and this one here. Maybe not that one right there. And we're going to start to scale these kind of in. And this would be a really good time to get a side reference photo. So let's see if we can find one of those. Side. Would you look at that? I think that'll do it. So we're going to save this as a side view. I think technically this is the front because of the way that these arms are facing, but I'm just going to call it the side. So Shift V, go to my viewport back settings, load in this here image, side view, and that's a little too high. So because I've got the cylinder kind of rotor dudes figured out, I'm going to base my alignment off of those. So I'm using the offset Y right now. Now I know this photograph is not 100% properly taken, it's like 98% right. Just because I'm noticing a little bit of perspective shift from this bottom edge to this top edge. So I'm just going to sort of have to work through that. I'm going to line up the bottom in this case because that's a little bit more accurately photographed. And then we'll work on the top up here. And I'm just going to pull this. Oops, it's a cylinder. So what do we have to do before we start trying to edit it? Because that's no good. It starts with an O. Optimize, yes. It's a cylinder, so we want to optimize it. So we're going to select all with Control A, or you can just mouse around and select all the polygons, and then O for optimize. And so now if I pick the top and I try to raise this up, now it's properly raising. Would you look at that? Beautiful. So now this is going to be a little bit more accurate of a guide on how I want to taper down my drone body kind of arm situation here. My drone's arms are too buff. Right now we need to slim them down. So we're just going to scale these a little bit at a time, I think. It's going to be a little bit more of a challenge than I think I'm ready to bargain for in a live presentation, trying to follow this slope precisely. That would be pretty tricky, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just deselecting one side and then scaling. Oops, that way. I think I'm off on the direction that I think I want to be on. Even though there's one extra loop on the bottom than on the top. See, there's 3 here and only 2 up there, but we'll make it work. So this isn't going to be perfect on my first attempt, but that's all right. So I'm going to jump to point select now and try to shrink these a bit. Now I want to make sure, turn off the rotor. I want to make sure that these ones in here are not selected sort of along this middle line. So I just want these outside corners. I just know that out of experience, so try not to make that mistake. Yep. So I've got these tops and bottoms. These ones down here, we can move these on their own. Switch this back to axis mode. That way we can go straight up and down. Just because I just know that because of the way that this thing is built, these are going to have to meet up eventually. Bless you. Perfectly. They're going to have to line up perfectly together. So I'm going to try to line that up as close as possible. Jumping into my top camera now, I think it is time to grab the corner there and the corner here. And actually I can just do the corners one at a time. We can turn on snapping. Our friend the magnet here. The magnet can be temperamental sometimes. So we just need vertex snap to be on for the time being, because we are just moving our points. So if with this one selected, I can drag and I want to make sure my only visible is off. And then now it's off. Grab those for the 3rd time and then snap that. There we go. Grab these, snap those, grab these, snap to those. So now that these are aligned with each other, and kind of like I said, I'm gonna have to eventually sort of break away from this pattern or my reference image. You know, it's not gonna get me 100% of the way there. Just good old-fashioned hard work is gonna get me the rest of the way. So the way that this tapers is a little wonky, to say the least. I could do a better job. So this is always kind of a fun game to figure out. just going to kind of zoom out a little and use my instincts to try to line this side up. So now if I follow this line out here, sort of as a straight line, it's not the worst thing ever, which I'm going to say is good enough. But these points kind of in the middle, I need to do a little something with these, just because it's sort of like kind of bulging a little bit, kind of along the bottom. From certain angles it's kind of looking a little chunky. So we're going to use a tool that I'm not sure that we've used too much before, and that is called the slide tool, under O, of course. O for slide. So with this point selected, the reason we want to use the slide tool is because, much like how we were using, bless you, here, we're just all sneezing today. Much like how I was using the move tool set to normal mode so that I would have like a direct angle, I can use the slide tool to serve sort of the same purpose. So if I'm just with my slide tool, I'm just clicking that vertex and sliding it back this way, hence the name. You just kind of click it and trace it along the edge. Now the bulge we're getting is kind of the fact that this is sort of triangle shaped, so I'm just going to bring this one in a bit. Oopsie, did it one too many times. And this one over here, rein this one back in a little too. I think that's going to be good enough. Good enough is the name of this assignment. Let's work on the top now and save. Saving's a friend. This is definitely not the thing that you want to have to do over again. If you just like spent, you could spend 45 minutes trying to do something and then, I don't know, your power goes out because there's a windstorm. Never. So save often. So we're getting one of those weird bulge kind of deals, but we can't use the slide tool because we don't have a line that's going along this way. What are we gonna do? Oh man, we're stuck. But have no fear, the Polygon Pen Tool will save us. Under M, E. So I'm gonna make myself a line so that I can slide this point to that point. So with my Polygon Pen Tool, I'm just clicking from one to another, and I can make myself a line, just like that. And I can jump back to the slide tool, M-O, of course, for slide. Slide that back, tuck that guy kind of in a little, just to deal with the fact that that's sort of like bulging out a little. And then getting back to the Polygon Pen Tool, M-E, I can then now just control click this line to get rid of it. So it's like it was never there. It's like we brought it into existence and wiped it away without a trace.
Control E, you said to delete it?
Just M-E to go into the tool, and then basically what the Polygon Pen Tool is just like the super quick refresher is, it's like 20 tools all in one. It might even be more than 20, because like every modifier, like Control or Shift or Alt or Control Shift and Alt, they'll all do something different depending on if you're clicking or clicking and dragging, clicking twice, clicking in a row, and then they all do something different if you click from an edge or on a point or on a polygon. It's just kind of, I could spend a whole day teaching every function of the Polygon Pen Tool, but just one of its most basic functions is kind of like the knife. and that is just from clicking from point to point, which we just did. And then the reverse of the knife, which is dissolve, is we can use that function by holding Control and then just clicking. Well, we could just get rid of this whole thing if we wanted to. We could just say goodbye, out of here, if we wanted to. Obviously, I don't want to do all that. So yeah, that's just Control and then clicking what you wanted to get rid of. So we're going to jump back on the slide tool and slide these in a little. And then start just kind of lowering these as a group, like how we did on the bottom edge. There we go, that doesn't look awful. It's a little hard to tell exactly how this is supposed to curve and kind of slope based on the photographs I've picked. But I do know that eventually I'm going to have to bring in these corners. Not exactly like beveling, but we'll get to that in a minute, I think. So I think at this point I'm ready to bring the arm and the rotor together, to merge them, make them one. But it's not just as simple as like clicking both of them and then right clicking and then hitting connect. No, it's not that easy. We've got a little bit of work ahead of us before we attempt that. And part of that work is to delete these insides. So I need to select these objects, and then now I can finally select these, and I no longer need them, so I'm going to delete those sides and then select the rotor now, and I can guarantee that only select visible elements is going to mess me up. So I'm going to double check that I have it on, or that I have it on, not off. And so now the reason I deleted that is because this is sort of like a unibody shape. That's just kind of like a building material term. It's sort of like all one shape. It's all kind of connected together. And if we were an ant and we were crawling around on the inside of this thing, chances are you'd be able to see through. Obviously there'd be like electronics and gizmos and stuff on the inside, but we would be able to, see something through here if we were an ant looking through. There would not be this like blockage right here. It's important to delete that before we connect these objects, because now we're going to be able to bring them together, merge them properly, happily. But there's one last step. We can see that we've got the points up here are lined up, and the points down here are lined up. But there's this edge running through the middle of my arm, and this edge has no home on the other side. I know it's a sad story, but we can use our knife tool, which the super shortcut is just K, and switch this to loop. And because our friend the magnet is still on, snap, we can mouse over this little corner right there and click, and hopefully, of course, this is why we can't have nice things. So let's use our friend the Polygon Pen Tool again to fix this. Oh no, we messed up the drone. What do we do? You could do that. You could throw it away and just restart and we'll just pretend nothing ever happened. But we don't want to do that. We can fix this. So with our Polygon Pen Tool, what we want to do is we want to bridge this face back together. We want to make a new polygon here. And we can do that by mousing over this edge, holding control, and click and then dragging. Yes, whoa, whoa indeed. So one time, 2 minutes ago I just told you that holding control gets rid of stuff, and now I just told you that holding control can create stuff. And that's like how I was saying, this tool has a lot of different commands to it. And we did that by, again, I'll just do it one more time. We moused over this edge, we held down control. You can see the little icon changed on the cursor. And now if we click, that was delete. But if you click and drag, now I've got this edge. I can go crazy with this edge if I wanted to, but I don't want to go crazy. I want to go right there.
And again, how do you get the Polygon Pen Tool?
M-E.
Okay.
So just like how we've, MS is bevel or MT is extrude, the Polygon Pen Tool is just another modeling tool. But we want to become friends with it. We don't want to shy away from such a powerful tool. So, getting back to that knife tool thing, I'm gonna mouse right over that corner there and click and make that edge. And so now this edge has a home to go to and another destination on the other side. And now we're ready to select both of them, right click and click Connect Objects plus Delete. Connect Objects plus Delete. And that will bring these two objects together. They are now friends. If I select one of these polygons and I hit Control A to select all, we can now see that we're selecting the whole arm and cylinder, which is what we wanted. But these little points up here are sort of kind of floating about. They're not exactly connected yet, so I think we're going to try to optimize it. Just because it'll be the quickest thing. I think if we Control A to select all, and we hit U, O, it didn't work. Drats. But if we hit U and then Shift O, we'll get the Optimize option box. And now this is a little powerful little menu. If we raise this tolerance value from 0.01 to, I don't know, it could be a random number, but let's just try 1, and then hit enter, it now merged those down together. So if I undo and redo, we can see that it is merging together our points. We didn't have to do any craziness. And so now we've got the body here. And if we re-enable our symmetry objects, it's going to look like we did a lot. Yeah, whoa's right. So I think that's a good place to stop. Give you guys an hour and a half to start chugging away on this yourselves. Don't be scared. Don't fret. The Polygon Pen Tool is your friend. So we're gonna call this lecture done. So.